This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. So over the last couple days, I told you I fell down this rabbit hole, and clearly, as you've seen from the last 3 videos that I've done, it is definitely a rabbit hole, but this rabbit hole continues to keep unraveling. So in this video, yes, we are going to do a part 4 to the biggest fraud alive, because that is exactly what this is, a big con job. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So we have to go back to the very beginning and relook at everything, because there are so many details that we all have missed, and the public has all been played. When we look at this photo of Tom and Doria, we were told that this was when they got married. If you notice, Thomas Markle Sr. is not wearing a wedding ring. And you cannot question if this was before the actual ceremony, because in the other picture that the Markles have shared with us, if we are to believe that the Markles are truly a family, who else would this have come from? Now, I've shown you this photo in my other video, showing you that it's clearly photoshopped with the additional feet hanging down by Doria's dress. I've also pointed out that on Doria's ring finger, it looks like her knuckle has ballooned, and then now I'm pointing out that Thomas Markle Sr. does not have a ring on. So if this is indeed after they got married, why is Doria wearing a ring and Thomas Markle not wearing a ring? Whoever had been dropping photos of someone that they want us to think is Meghan had been distributing them in variations all around the world. So the Daily Mail was publishing it for English. We had Closer magazine, which published a French version of it. Then we had Vanity Fair publish it. That was in Spanish. And then we had one variation that was published in Japan. I'm sure the 4th photo that you see there at the bottom quadrant, you probably never saw before. And that's because this was in the Japan market. But if you notice, in each of these photos, there's a variation of this so-called picnic. But the most outstanding one that I think is the one from Vanity Fair, of which Doria is wearing a completely different outfit. But the baby that they so-called Meghan there is wearing the same clothes as the other 3 pictures. So now you see how they were manipulating the world from the very beginning. This is why we all felt that we were being saturated by this woman, because every single day there was something coming out, whether it be from the family, whether it be from friends, dropping all these childhood photos to solidify that this person, Meghan, really does exist. And here is how they manipulated us. Let's start with the exclusive interview that Samantha Markle had given to In Touch Weekly, providing these exclusive, never-before-seen photos. Now, if you saw part 1 of this series, I did play part of Meghan's so-called Nickelodeon spot that she did, where she said she was 12 years old. She just graduated the 6th grade and was going into the 7th. So how could Meghan be 12 in the photo with Samantha if in the Nickelodeon shot, Meghan looks older, as well as her hair is short? I mean, we can give the benefit of the doubt here for a second. And, you know, on the surface, that's what we did in the very beginning when all of this hit the media. But this gets debunked now because it's another lie. So in this photo from Samantha's book, The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister, you can see that she included the very same photo with Meghan, and stating that this was at the Vista Del Mar house in California in 1988. Well, how is that possible for Meghan to be 12 years old if we are to believe that Meghan was born in 1981? So if we are to believe that Meghan was born in 1981, then this picture with Samantha at 12 years old would be incorrect. Technically, Meghan would be 7 years old, not 12. The other misleading information that I see here is Samantha stating that this is the Vista Del Mar house. Well, how is that even possible? If Meghan went to go live with her dad at age 11, and here we have Meghan, age 9, in the same place, sitting with Doria on the same couch. But going back to this photo for a second, this couldn't be the Vista Del Mar house, because as you can see on the right-hand side, Meghan, or whoever that child is sitting on that same exact couch. But I'd like to note that the photo that they put next to it shows Meghan in the same apartment, but she has no gap in her teeth, and clearly it looks like she's aged. So what type of manipulation are they using on these photos? I'd like to know, because that's not the same child. Okay, you can give her the benefit of the doubt, but here's why I don't believe any of that. This is all part of the deception. Remember, in the beginning of this video, I showed you 4 variations of a baby that they called Meghan and a woman that they called Doria, all placed in various locations of the world. It's the same situation here. The only constant is Meghan wearing the same dress, the same headpiece, as well as the same glasses. So according to the Daily Mail, this little girl that they're calling Meghan is supposed to be age 8. So now when you look closer at the 2 photos between Thomas Markle Sr. and Samantha, you start to see that these were photoshopped. Whoever this little girl was sitting with was sitting in the same spot as where Thomas Markle's sitting, as well as where Samantha's sitting. It could be very well on the same couch. As you can see, the couches match. But also, you can tell that this is Photoshop because where the arrows are with Mr. Markle are these white strings of some sort that are hanging off of Meghan's shoulder. But in the photo with Samantha, you can see that it's been removed and tucked under Meghan's arm. I would think that this might have been a shoulder bag that this little girl was wearing. But in any case, this was manipulated. So if you move on to this next snapshot that I put together here, you can see how all 5 of these photos don't jive. In photo number 1, the little girl who we're supposed to call Meghan is wearing the same outfit in photo number 2, which leads me to believe that this was around Christmas time. And according to the Daily Mail, she's supposed to be age 9 here. That's if we are to believe that this is the same little girl featured in all these photos. So here we go again. How can we believe that the photo with Samantha is from 1988, then the one on the top where she's with her cousin Donovan is 1989, and then the photo with Nanaki is supposed to be 1990? How can anyone believe this, especially when you have whoever that little girl is wearing glasses, and then the following year, there are no glasses? In all the videos that we have seen, Meghan's not wearing any kind of glasses? Could it be that Meghan was trying to fix her lazy eye? No, I don't think so, because at age 12, you can still see this lazy eye that she has, or whoever this person is. Whoever this little girl is on the right side is supposed to be 5 years old. Look at both of these photos. Does Meghan on the left-hand side look like she has a lazy eye? No, she doesn't. So the question is, where did the glasses go? My question to the parents out there, would you be getting contact lenses for your child at 9 years old? Anyhow, moving on to the next example of this scam, I put together this little visual for you to understand that this is all a lie. All these photos have been provided by the Markles or the Sussexes or whoever is behind this so-called person that they created named Meghan. What you see here on the left-hand side is a photo that was submitted to the Daily Mail of which they're stating that Meghan is 5 years old here. Then on the right side, you can see another photo with this so-called child named Meghan with these braid pigtails, and notice the photo that's up in the corner there. How could this be possible if on the left-hand side they're saying Meghan is 5, but on the right-hand side they're saying Meghan is 3? And on top of it, why is this school picture from the Little Red Schoolhouse put up with one of those push pins and not actually in the frame itself? Also, another thing to call out here, if this little girl that they're calling Meghan here is supposed to be 3 years old, then how is it that she has those 2 big chiclet teeth in her mouth? At 3 years old, you still have your baby teeth about to fall out, not fully grown in. Which now when you look at this dish soap commercial that Meghan was doing, you see this Little Red Schoolhouse class photo chopped up and put into a frame, but part of the class covered. Now explain to me why. Why would they do that and ruin her memories like that? It's because, could this not be real too? Most likely. Moving on, does this look anything like the same child? The one in the blue with the 2 chiclets sticking out is supposed to be older than the one on the right. Now, that very well could be possible, but when you look at the teeth on the right, there's full-grown teeth in there, as opposed to on the left, where this is supposed to be around the same time that Thomas and Doria were separating or divorcing. If you look at these photos, does this look like the same child? Where did Meghan's freckles go? And here we have more lies. In both these photos, this little girl, whose name is supposed to be Meghan, is supposed to be 5 years old. Does anybody believe this? And here you go, folks, another Photoshop photo. Here we have Thomas Markle Sr. with some child, and look at his hand. Is it a coincidence that this child is wearing the same color to blend in with Thomas Markle's shirt? No, this is to make it that much more difficult to see that this has been manipulated. I mean, honestly, can you tell me that this is the same child? One looks like it's been digitally enhanced, and the other one looks like whoever that they are calling Meghan. Another thing I'd like to call out is in Meghan's photos as a child, some of them you can see her belly button, of which it's an Audi. But here is Meghan, older, what's supposed to be in Jamaica, showing that she has an innie belly button, which can't be possible unless she had it surgically removed, but not many people go through that to get that done. I have reason to believe that on the left is photoshopped as well. For shits and giggles, just go along with me on this one. Let's say there is an intelligence agency that did fabricate who this so-called Meghan Markle is and built a life around it, to which you see all these abnormalities around it, the fluctuation in the ages, the years, nothing is consistent, nothing makes sense. Meghan allegedly had gotten married to a guy by the name of Trevor Engelson. He hasn't spoken out. He has been silent. Meghan made sure that all photos had been destroyed. Samantha couldn't go to this wedding. We see no photos of Ashley at this wedding. Supposedly, Thomas Markle was there. We have one photo of him. And when you look closer at this photo, it looks like Meghan is wearing her wedding dress, but photoshopped out was the sequin belt that she had around it. So could this be also manipulated? Look, there's so many manipulations. Why not? Why not? We were led to believe that Meghan had this husband that she mailed rings back to. The guy has been silent. We've heard nothing from Corey Vitiello. Could all these people have been a part of this mass manipulation? Absolutely. This is what that intelligence agency can do to make happen. Could they have paid these guys off? Absolutely. To stay silent? Sure. At the time, perhaps maybe Trevor needed the cash. Who knows? But could this all have been staged? I'm willing to bet that somehow the government had a hand in putting Meghan in that Suits drama that nobody heard about until when she got hooked up with Prince Harry. Why not? When the government puts people in witness protection, they create all kinds of documents that claim that this person is who they are, whether it be new birth certificates, licenses, passports, even marriage certificates. It's all laid out. So who's to say that this wasn't the case? This very well could have been the case. And for us to say that the royal family had absolutely no idea who or what this person is, to me is a little naive, because they have the access to the best intelligence in the world. For me, as a simple YouTuber who is doing investigation here, can find and uncover all of this. You don't think that they didn't see this or know about it? Come on, people. Wake up. Harry is over here, and apparently he's on some A1 visa, which he shouldn't be, and everybody is looking the other way. Nobody is saying anything about it. You don't see what happened here? Back in 2021, when I told everybody that these two were dangerous and that they were over here to undermine our government, believe it. Because look at how all of this has unfolded, and look at the shit that this world is in right now as a result of forcing us into this so-called neo-fascism world that these wealthy elites want to put us in. This is what's happening. I'm not conspiracy theorist. This is happening in real time. And for those that want to keep your head in the sand and continue to believe the lies that are being told to us on a daily basis about this couple, go ahead, waste your time with that, but none of it is real. Understand that Meghan is doing what she is being told to do. All that we have seen with this craziness with Netflix and not producing any type of content and failing spectacularly on all levels is to throw everybody off so nobody suspects them of doing what they have been doing. Have you not noticed that Harry kept talking about this so-called mission and serving his country? What do you think he is doing over here? right? We're supposed to believe that he's here as a private citizen, but he came here and they interfered with the 2020 election. The fact that we had congressmen write to the Queen and that was ignored should tell you enough. And for all those that are going to put in the comment section, well, the king has nothing to do with this bullshit. He knows very well what's happening here. The UK or someone from the UK has to sponsor and state that he is here representing the UK government. If it's not Charles, then it's somebody from the UK government doing it. Otherwise, he would not have this special status. This is not something that's fallen on US alone. The UK is involved here. And we'd be stupid to think that the king doesn't know. Perhaps maybe he's not engaging or getting involved in, but he knows. He knows who this woman is. He knows what his son's doing over here. But when you think about it, they can't let on that they know because that would be the end of the monarchy. We all know this. Why do you think this whole fabricated story of Megxit came up? The UK needed reason for Harry to come over here, and with, at the time, his popularity and influence, of course, getting involved with the Biden and Harris campaign, influencing on the back end, getting people censored. Everything that has been going on the last 6 years is look here, not there, while behind the scenes, quietly meeting the right people. You know how Meghan does. We are supposed to think and not take Meghan seriously. It's all by design, but this woman is really dangerous. But you know all that already because we watched this psychopath on a global stage. With all these lies and manipulations, why should we believe any of this is real? Especially since now, all of a sudden, Rosalind Markle, or now Loveless, who was married to Meghan's father in the 1960s, had said that when Meghan graduated from high school, she went to Northwestern, which is up in Illinois. And when she finished that, she worked in Argentina. Then she started Suits and she started her acting career. It was the scenario that everyone got busy and the distance was always a factor. So right here, they're trying to reinforce the lies because they've been exposed. All of a sudden, this woman comes out of nowhere. I mean, it's been a few years since she's been in the media. Why now is she coming forward to outline Meghan's timeline? You know what I mean? Which brings up another point that I'd like to make. You notice that all these randos come out of nowhere to speak up on Meghan Markle, whether it be to clap back or to cause or stir drama. This last piece I'd like to raise. Thank you, Meghan, for putting this puff piece out here because it reminds me of back when Thomas Dooley, Meghan's nephew who got arrested. How many people remember that?
Oh, and he appears to be naked. They'll load him in the wagon. This is cool. See if I can get a little closer. And he's completely naked. They'll load him in quick. That was a shitload of them. You can tell they're sick of having to do this kind of shit. The LAPD choppers flying overhead. This is fucking funny as hell, man. He does not want to go in that car.
Here's the thing, was this even real? If you look at the person that they're hauling off into the cop car, look how tall he is. He literally is towering over all those cops. So when you look at this, Thomas Dooley is not that much taller than his mom, who is a fairly short woman. So this was put out around October 1st, 2019. And I think during that time, the Harkles were on their South African tour. It literally just started the South African tour. And at the same time, that's when Meghan and Harry both filed separate lawsuits with the courts for suing the media. This is when all of this started. So my guess is that this was a distraction so people didn't look here while they were focused on this here, which doesn't look like this was so-called Thomas Dooley. Then fast forward one day before Megxit was announced, Meghan Markle's nephew pops back up again. Thomas Dooley begs the judge to let him get help for his mental health instead of facing 3 years in jail. So, did Meghan, the champion of mental health, do anything to help her nephew who was struggling? No. She said nothing and did nothing. By this point, whatever foolery Meghan was doing behind the scenes to show the world how dysfunctional her family was, to give reason as to why she has cut them all off, was working. So once this was published, the very next day, Megxit happened, and the whole world forgot about Thomas Dooley. So, revisiting and coming back to this story, whatever happened to Thomas Dooley? Did he get the help that he needed, or did he end up in jail? There has been no follow up on this, and nobody has talked about it since. So, was this story real? So, I wanted to see what happened to this case. So, I went to the Los Angeles County clerk system to look at their database, and sure enough, I couldn't find a Thomas Dooley Markle or a Thomas Dooley, but I did find a Thomas Markle. Now, I can't confirm if this is Thomas Sr. or Thomas Jr. or some totally different Thomas Markle, but this was filed in 1995. It doesn't say very much aside from these charges of 242 Penal Code, 277 Penal Code, and 273A Penal Code, of which it appears that on April 11th, 1996, the case was dropped with the resolution of, I want to say, some financial payout. And I'll get to these codes in a second. So I wanted to go check and see how many Thomas Markles were in the Los Angeles area. So I went to Radaris as well as the white pages. And here I find, for Radaris, I see 3 of 2 have the ages next to them. So you know that the first one is Thomas Markle Sr., and the second one is Thomas Markle Jr. But here in the white pages, you have 3 Thomas Markles located in Los Angeles, where 2 of them appear to be Thomas Markle Sr. But what's really interesting here is the name, as it says, may go by Thomas E. Stambaugh. And then it says that at the bottom too, where it's for Thomas Markle Jr., Thomas E. Stambaugh. So that's curious because it says it here, but it also said it on the Radaris pulling. Could this be true or could this be a mistake? I don't know. I just thought that it was interesting and figured to point it out to you. But getting back to these penal codes, let's start with the bottom up with 273A parentheses A, and that is child endangerment. Penal Code Section 273A parentheses A makes it illegal to permit any child to suffer unjustifiable pain or mental suffering under circumstances likely to produce great bodily harm or death. Moving on to the next one, under California Penal Code Sections 277 to 280, child abduction is defined as the malicious taking, enticing away, keeping, withholding, or concealing of any child with the intent to detain or conceal that child from their legal custodian, when the persons involved in this act do not have legal right or custody. And finally, the third one says, California Penal Code 242, anyone who willfully touches someone with force, even if it does not injure the victim, is considered to have committed battery. In addition, physical contact to the person of another includes items that a person is holding could potentially result in a criminal charge. And as I've said before, that it appears that this case was dropped under the California Penal Code 1378, where the law permits civil compromises. This is where a judge or the prosecutor agrees to dismiss your misdemeanor charges after you reimburse the victims for the financial losses they suffered from the crime. Now, what I find strange and have no explanation for is how is it that there is no arrest date? So if this is a criminal case and charges have been put forward, shouldn't there be an arrest date? How is it not known? Now, again, I must reiterate, I don't know if this is tied to Thomas Sr. or Thomas Jr. or a completely different Thomas Markle. I was just looking through the public database to search to see what happened to Thomas Dooley or Thomas Dooley Markle or Thomas Markle who belongs to Thomas Jr. What's really interesting here is that when you Google Thomas Markle Jr., this is the information that comes up. And under children, they only have Tyler Dooley listed. So where is Thomas Dooley? Maybe I must be missing something, but I find it extremely weird that Thomas Jr. has a son who had this addiction problem, and nobody knows what exactly happened to him. And then Thomas Jr. has his own YouTube channel that talks about everything under the sun, but I don't recall him talking about Thomas Dooley Markle. You would think that it would be Thomas Markle Jr. that would be calling Meghan out on her hypocrisy surrounding mental health, especially if he had a son that was suffering. I mean, how did we miss this photo? One sleeve is long, the other sleeve is short. That's not even pushed up. That's legitimately short. Like, come on now. I mean, now when you look at all these photos like this one, look at Doria. Her legs look gargantuan. I don't know if it's the angle of the camera, but then look at this baby that she's holding. Like, what's going on there with the feet? I mean, everything is just so weird. And we have this picture, which has all kinds of questions to be asked, such as how is it that Uncle Joe's son looks like he's Indian and has Indian hair, and then whoever Uncle Joe's son's holding looks like a little boy? So is that supposed to be Meghan? Honestly, it's the same tricks being played with this AI photo of little Betty. Looking back at all of this, you can see how many inconsistencies and the manipulation, not only with the photos, but also with the videos. You have to ask the question, what was real? In my mind, I don't think any of this was real. I truly feel like this was all fabricated to create this story and narrative to get Meghan or whoever this woman is into the royal family. I mean, when you look at this, how many fingers does this child have? Look, I'm so fed up with the manipulation, the lies that the media keeps feeding all of us, making us think that we're crazy when we're not. As you can see here, what I've just shown you is that we've been manipulated the last 6 years on this false story. And now we have Harry, who's in the United States on an A1 visa, being treated like a diplomat, getting security paid by the US taxpayer. Why aren't more people angry about this? It's because we've all been distracted by the stupid drama. None of that matters when you look at what they have been doing here over the last 6 years. And now Prince Harry's coming to New York City, getting taxpayer-funded security on his A1 visa. They really think the people are stupid, and this is what the elites do. They don't care about what you think or what you want. They're going to take your money and use it. And here it is going towards this asshole for what? To go ahead and push his travelers in African parks where women are getting raped and he's doing nothing to help them, but instead greenwashing or pushing green colonialism? Get this guy out. But before you do that, call him to Congress and question him about January 6th and how he knew about it and his role within the censorship industrial complex undermining American free speech. Ask about his family's relationship with Nick Clegg, who is at Facebook. I don't need to get into that, but there's a full playlist that explains how Harry and Meghan have been involved with the censorship industrial complex. If your ears and eyes are now starting to open, I highly suggest you go and check it out. But clearly, what we have gone through over the last 6 years has been nothing but a psyops, a total manipulation and lie. And honestly, don't believe that you're reading that Harry's coming to New York City by himself. You can bet Meghan will be there with bells on. I mean, if this is going to be around his birthday, do you honestly think she's going to allow him to be here and party the night away and celebrate this milestone without having her face involved? Come on, folks. We know this woman by now that she will not allow this ginger prince to have all the spotlight. You can bet this greedy little cloud-chasing goblin will shove her face wherever she possibly can in the media during that time. Believe it. Anyhow, I'm going to leave you with this information. I know it's a lot. Start to digest it and start looking at this situation a little bit differently. Ask the questions as to why did all this bizarre stuff happen, not only with the royal family, but also with Harry and Meghan and these two invisible children. Think about everything that just did not make sense and how many times things were just ignored, like the fact that nobody sees these two children that they have. Asking questions, are they okay? Do they have their vaccinations to go to school? Do they have proper health care? Nobody's seen them, and all the media outlets choose to ignore that, but instead continue to keep recycling the same damn photos of these alleged children. I mean, who doesn't find that weird? All right, let me leave you with this final thought. Question everything. Nothing that we have been told has been straightforward, and we have the right to know. So continue to keep making that noise, continue to keep asking questions, and call this out. Call out the media for the lies, the bullshit, as well as what these globalists have been doing to us. We owe it to ourselves to fight for our freedom. And that's all I gotta say, but definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
I was such a fraud.